Big changes for the Blackhawks today. Nick Lardis is headed to Rockford. Teuvo Teravainen is back, and Andre Burakovsky is down. We're going to break it all down next on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, live from the Xfinity Loft. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and we are live in the Xfinity Loft. Thanks for being with us. Big, newsy day in Blackhawks land. Literally, the moment the intro started playing, the Blackhawks made it official. Nick Lardis is headed to Rockford. Teuvo Teravainen is back. He's going to play on the top line with Frank Nazar and Connor Bedard. And if you listen to last night's postgame show, we talked a lot about the struggling Andre Burakovsky. He is part of the bottom six for the first time this whole season. So obviously a lot to get to today. Before we begin, do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page as well. If you're catching up on the podcast later on, we love you. We appreciate you. You're very handsome and or pretty. Make sure you are following on your favorite app there, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So we are going to begin with Nick Lardis. I think the biggest piece of news from today. And here's what I'm going to say. I understand it, and I hate it. That's where I'm at. Like, I totally understand that Nick Lardis has to be a top six player. He has to get an opportunity to play. He's not going to be a guy they're going to be comfortable with scratching on a night-to-night basis. So if there's no spot for him in the top six, I understand the move to send him to Rockford, but I don't like it. I think that he looked really, really good in his time here. I was really impressed with how he played his first, 21 games?
21 games.
7 points in those 21 games, and looked a lot more developed all around than I expected him to. I understand it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exciting. You want to see as many young guys as possible playing, and I think a lot of people expect Nick Lardis to be one of those guys that is part of the group that pushes this team forward and, through their next era and back up to contention and everything like that. So seeing him play, it was a lot of fun. I think, he had some really good moments, a lot of learning moments, and he was originally here because Bedard was hurt. Yeah. And you had some injuries with some other guys needing to get healthy. And, with Nazar getting back and Teravainen getting back, they have 15 forwards. That's too many. Too many, really.
Yeah, really.
But it's at least one too many. So I think it's a good showing for him in the first opportunity he got to be in the NHL. I think lineup wise, as it's currently constructed, you see who's in, and I think they're giving the guys that are the vets that are still bringing along, a lot of these young guys and trying to help them out. They're still there. And if you're not going to give Nick Lardis ample opportunities to play, 15, 16, 17 minutes, be someone on the power play and play in your top six consistently and get production out of it, then he's best served doing that in Rockford, playing 18 minutes, playing on the top line, playing on the number one power play, and taking the lessons he's learned from being up here down to Rockford and kind of evolving, continue to evolve his game there. He also gets an opportunity to continue playing through the Olympic break, which I don't think is a bad idea. And he was an AHL All-Star. So now he gets an opportunity to kind of enjoy that as well. because he's earned it, and through his first year playing professionally, he's done really, really well. So he gets to enjoy that, and don't worry, he will go back to Chicago, likely post-trade deadline when opportunities are more abundant for him to play significant minutes.
Yeah, he will be back as soon as they need a body back. There's no doubt about that. And someone in the chat mentioning Sam Lafferty. Sam Lafferty is going to be the guy remaining out of the lineup most nights. And quite frankly, Colton Dock is probably going to be in that role too, because you've got Slaggert, you've got Dock, you've got Lafferty. Maybe you see Slaggert and Dock kind of rotate in and out. But you don't, if they're not going to play Lardis, there's no point in having him on a roster. And he did mention, if you read, I know Mark Lazarus talked to him after the Carolina game, and he mentioned kind of how, he's not used to playing this many games in such a short window, and it's just been a lot of hockey. It is still disappointing, though, because you're thinking about, well, what have the Hawks really lacked lately? They've lacked offense. And that's one thing that Nick Lardis has been able to contribute pretty regularly, and now they have to do it without him. Now, Teuvo Teravainen is going to help in that regard, and I know as down as
in theory
a lot of us were on Teuvo for not shooting the puck and being a little too passive in our minds, he is still a very valuable player, and kind of creates the opportunity, we'll get to this later, for the Bedard-Nazar combo to play together, because he's going to be the one really defensively responsible here. So when you look at the way that Jeff Blashill is drawing out the top six, I get it. I know he'll be back. There's 5 games between now and the All-Star or the Olympic break, and then I think there's 10 days from the return from the break to the trade deadline. So I think that within the next 10 Hawks games, Nick Lardis will be back, and probably permanently.
Yeah, I think that'll be his next big opportunity. And I come back to what Kyle Davidson has said, what Jeff Blashill has said about how they want to handle a lot of these young guys, and it's they want to put them in positions to where they're thriving, and kind of had similar conversations about Kevin Korchinski at times, Sam Renzel this season. You want those guys to be in positions where they thrive. Do the Blackhawks need offensive help? Yes. Is Nick Lardis the type of player that can help them with being more of a shoot-first guy? Yes, those two things are true. But I would say relying on a rookie, Nick Lardis, to be like, you're our offensive guy, is a lot to kind of put on his shoulders. And you're already in a situation where you have Oliver Moore still finding his footing in the NHL. He's doing a good job with it. Ryan Green in a similar spot. Artem Levshinov, this is his first full NHL season. Like, you already have a lot of rookies that you're kind of doing that with. So if you don't need to also thrust Nick Lardis into doing that full time, which again, seems like he's been doing okay and he's developing, and it's, had some good moments and some learning moments as well. But you don't want to have a full team of rookies figuring it out and having all that burden on them. So I think this gives him a little bit more of a relief in how much pressure would be on him to kind of carry the load for an NHL team. Now to do it for an AHL team, it's a little bit easier. He was already doing that down in there in Rockford, and that's why he got the call up. So I think it'll be good for him. Mentally, the grind of an NHL season is tough. And I was just talking about it with Ryan Green a few days ago, just kind of how going from juniors and going from college where you played at most 60 or 70 games.
Yeah.
And, it might be like game, 5 days off. And then, it's just like, three games in 4 days, and then you have 4 days off. Like, college schedules, it's mostly Fridays and Saturdays. Like, the way that you have to kind of mentally prepare for an NHL schedule where it's just like game, practice, game, travel, practice, game, like, it's just so constant. Even though it's the only thing you're doing, it's not like you're going to class or anything like that, but it is just like a lot of a shift. So to kind of get out of the rigors of the NHL to go to the AHL, where it is a little bit more kind of like a juniors college schedule where games are kind of packed in and then you have extended days off. that can be good for him as well.
This is a quote from Nick Lardis after the Carolina game, again to Mark Lazarus in The Athletic. Lardis says, quote, "It's been a lot of games. I'm not used to the schedule, but it's been a lot of fun. I came in at a weird time, a weird year too with the Olympic break, crammed in a bunch of games. I've been asking some of the guys, is this the normal life?" So clearly it's having an impact on Nick Lardis. And I think it's something that, as we always sort of challenge everybody to zoom out from the emotions of, man, I really like Nick Lardis. I'm excited about him and he's young. The big picture for his development is if they're sensing him being overwhelmed, and if he's talking about being a little bit overwhelmed, it's probably more of an issue than we might be aware of, right? It might really be wearing on him physically and mentally. And look, it is a lot to ask of a kid who, in our minds, going into this year, we thought, yeah, maybe Lardis comes up after the deadline. I don't think anyone expected him to make the team out of camp or to even be part of the team this early in the season. But as you mentioned, Bedard gets hurt, Nazar gets hurt, so you need an offensive replacement. Mm-hmm. So Lardis is, okay, we're calling him up way sooner than we thought we were going to, and he's been okay. He's held his own. But I think they recognize that, look, as much as he's been treading water here, doing pretty well, scoring some nice goals, becoming our number one option in the shootout, that's all great. He still needs to get some work done. And Lardis continued in the conversation saying, it's not just about offense. I've got to learn how to contribute at all ends of the ice, and playing in Rockford is a way for him to do that. Mm-hmm. But rest assured, the latest he's going to be back is, March 9th, the trade deadline.
Probably.
He will be back here, I think, unless they end up acquiring some talent at the deadline, which I think is a long shot. He's going to be back this year because, look, I think when we talk about young players earning the opportunity and taking advantage of the opportunity, I think Nick Lardis absolutely did that. Why don't we hear from Jeff Blashill, who, before this became official, talked about the roster dilemma and then got into Nick Lardis because I think Scott Powers kind of knew what was coming. And you could hear Jeff Blashill talk about Lardis in the past tense a little bit. But Jeff talks about the impression that Lardis made.
With 15 forwards, but the mom's here, do you plan to keep everybody up through the trip?
Or not necessarily. We'll see. How the rest of the day goes here.
How would you assess Nick Lardis as this sample size you've seen?
I think he's done a good job. I think he's done a solid job. I think he came in and early on probably was trying to find his way a little bit. I thought he got more confident. So I think he's done a good job of making a first impression to the coaching staff and where he's at.
Yeah, he basically said, well, we'll figure that out in a few hours. We know we're making a move.
What's happening today, Jeff?
And then he was very much talking about, when he says good first impression, that means there's probably a second impression to be made soon.
Sure. Yeah.
But again, to the point, he really did. I was surprised by how much Nick Lardis looked like he belonged in the NHL this quickly. I did not expect that this year.
Yeah, I think the biggest question was how would a 71-goal OHL season last year translate to what he would do in his first year playing professionally. And in Rockford, he was one of their top contributors. Him and Oliver Moore really generated a really good chemistry down there. And then when they both got up here to Chicago, they were able to kind of continue that, be paired together for the most part when they were both up here. And Lardis was a top producer for the Ice Hogs. So for him to come up and look increasingly comfortable at the NHL level, that's a big positive. And I think too, you kind of hear Lardis in that interview with Mark Lazarus. You hear him talking about getting kind of maybe a little bit of a shock of how rigorous the schedule can be. You don't want to burn out young players.
That's it.
And some guys can handle it differently than others. And I think if you err on the side of caution for a team that's, being honest, they're not pushing for a real playoff spot.
Right.
They're not they're 5 points now, I think, out of the second wild card. They don't have games in hand. I think the fraction of a percentage chance that it actually is going to be a playoff year for the Blackhawks is dwindling by the moment. They're going to be sellers at the deadline. So it's going towards, we still need these young guys to kind of be ready late in the season. We want them, fresh, as fresh as possible, physically and mentally. And they're not really pushing for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's not like, we need all these young guys to help us now. It's more important down the road that they're more comfortable. So if you were to get into a situation where you got Kirby Dach and Adam Boquist and Henry Yokiharu and all these guys that were, immediately from the draft, you're up in the NHL,
Right.
and that's all you're going to play because you're supposed to be, you're a top 10 pick. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You saw from some of those guys, like, it was just like 2-3 years into their career, they were shells of themselves.
Yeah, like none of them have
the
really
potentials
panned
that
out
they
to be
had,
what
they never reached them.
None of them have, exactly. Just before we hit the break, little note here too on your point about the reality of where the Blackhawks are. Frank Saravalli was on the pregame show yesterday on CHSN. Pat Boyle said, "Are the Hawks still looking to be sellers at the trade deadline?" Frank Saravalli says, quote, "Yes, I don't think there's any indecision there. I don't think the Hawks have any illusions about where exactly their place is in the standings and when the time is going to be right to strike." So this is a team that is fully aware. Kyle Davidson is not saying, well, maybe, just maybe, and if we get hot and let's keep these veterans here. No, he understands what this is and sees the big picture. And look, whether you love Kyle Davidson, whether you hate Kyle Davidson, whether you're on the fence, it's hard to deny that he is true to his vision. Yeah. And his vision has been patience. His vision has been development. His division has been his position has been stockpiling prospects and picks. So you've got more cracks at the more lottery tickets to scratch off, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So a better chance to win. So they're going to be patient with Nick Lardis. So I don't like it, but I understand it. All right, we're going to hit the break zone. More on this, and then we're going to get into the new top line of Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, and Teuvo Teravainen coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and with their early payout offer, you're a winner if your football team goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets marked as winners. Download the app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Take advantage of their football offers throughout the season.
Just
their
one game
$365,000 jackpot for Sunday Night Football. Place a $10 bet on first touchdown score to get a split of that $365,000 pot in bonus bets if your player scores the final touchdown of the game. So, new customers, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet 5, win or lose. So use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Deposit $10. Place a bet for 5 to get 200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Use those on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. Offer is in-app only.
Whether it's on the field or in your financial life, the best teams win by delivering excellence at every level. And at Old National Bank, they believe every play matters. From everyday checking to long-term planning and commercial banking, their team is here to build momentum and help you move the ball forward. It all starts with a plan tailored for you by professionals that you trust. From simple tasks to bigger financial moments, you can count on Old National Bank to coordinate your needs with steady, knowledgeable guidance that brings clarity and confidence with each step. It's a partnership designed to help you feel supported, not just today, but well into the future. So whether you're celebrating a win, rebuilding after a tough loss, or gearing up for whatever comes next, Old National Bank, they've got your back with tools, insights, and an expert crew that's always in your corner. Old National Bank, member FDIC, where relationships and results matter.
All right, now it is time for Taking the Temp, presented by our trusted local experts at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Taking the temp of some of our social media fans about the Nick Lardis situation and a couple other things that happened today. We have this tweet from Matt. Says, Lardis probably will be back after the Olympic break. The AHL All-Star Game is February 10th and 11th. Might only be for a few weeks while the Hawks are not playing. Is there a chance they move Burakovsky at the deadline? No value, but I'd rather see a young guy than a vet that's not going to get better. So a lot there. Burakovsky, if you miss it today, on the bottom 6, we will expand on that a little bit later. I'm not ready to pull the trigger on a Burakovsky deal right away. I think you need some veteran depth scoring. I think he provides that for a reasonable price for what he does. I think he's playing his worst hockey of the year, but I think trading a guy who is playing his worst hockey of the year is probably the worst time to trade a guy.
Yeah, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. No, I think with Burakovsky, think about last year with Tyler Bertuzzi. Like, he had some stretches where he was really hot, and then stretches where he was invisible. And this year he's turned that completely around. And Andre Burakovsky, I think, started the season really hot, and now he's been not the same guy that we saw at the beginning of the year. Not to say that he's been invisible; he's been noticeable, but just kind of for the wrong reasons. And he's a guy that you talk to teammates about playing with him on a line with him, and they talk about how he's a guy that likes to carry the puck and have the puck on his stick and enter the zone and create off of that. And when that's not really going for you as a player like that, you kind of feel like you just are digging yourself deeper into a hole. So I wonder if the change in minutes, the change in line mates, he was off the top power play, like a little bit of a change in responsibility kind of takes the messaging and says, like, okay, like, we need more from you. So try and get back to a simpler game. Try and get back to your foundational game so that the extra things that we know you can do and are capable of, you can get back to it. Even with him being in this funk that he's in right now, he's still third on this team in scoring.
Yeah.
So it's not that he's useless bum, as some people might think of him as, but it's just this isn't the version of him that you can get out of him on a more consistent basis.
Look, we've seen better hockey from him, and he will line up with Ryan Green and Oliver Moore on the third line. We have seen good hockey from Andre Burakovsky this year, so I think it would be bad management for a GM to say, well, he's had a horse crap 3 weeks, so we're moving on from this guy. That's not good asset management. It's not good team management. You've got to let guys play through things that, get themselves out of their funks. And look, he's not the only one. We've talked about Ryan Donato. There have been periods this year we've talked about Teuvo. We've had a couple recent conversations about Connor Bedard since coming back from the injury. Like, there's a lot of guys that are not clicking right now. I know Burakovsky is the current target of derision because he has made some costly mistakes lately, but the coaching staff has seen it, and they've noticed it, and they're making adjustments. Why don't we hear what Jeff Blashill had to say, actually, since the conversation took us this way, about Andre Burakovsky and what he wants to see from him and what's potentially going wrong.
Probably a lot of things. One, we tried Morsey on the wing. I'd like to get Morsey back to center. Kind of, getting guys in the lines that I think can be successful. And then, Frankie and Bedsy haven't played a lot together. Small sample sizes, so we'll see how they do. And I think Teuvo's a real good compliment because he's really smart. Can put pucks into spaces for them, but also is really good defensively.
I know you said it was a small sample size, but it seemed like recently they've played a little bit together, and you see kind of glimpses of what they could be, sort of.
Bedsy and Frankie? Yeah, I mean, certainly there's, they are two most dynamic forwards, and so you hope that they can. What you hope when you put lines together is that the sum is greater than the parts even, and so can they be exponentially better as a pair? We hope so, But the one thing I got to do is give it some runway too. I can't. I've changed too much here in the last three games or so, trying to find the right spark or the right kind of match, and I have to just stay with it here and probably just stay with it through the next 3 games and see how it goes.
All right, that was I think I labeled those incorrectly. That's my bad. So that was on the top line. So I think the one you have highlighted right now is the wrong one.
Nope.
Yeah, try this one. Yeah, try that one.
Nope, it's the same one.
Yeah, it's the same cut twice. All right, well, we'll figure it out. Basically what he said was, the issue with Burakovsky is that he is a guy who he said the word like cares a lot, cares a ton, and sometimes when things are not going well with him, he will try to overcompensate for those things, and that's sort of what he's seen from him lately. So he might need a bit of a reset here. I'm going to resend you this. I'll make sure I have the right one.
Yeah. Blashill was basically talking about like kind of when a player like that is trying to do too much, then they try and do even more to overcompensate for it.
All right, we got it. Here we go.
With some of possession stuff, and what would you like to see different out of him?
First of all, Berkey cares a ton. He wants to do great. He's probably one of those guys when it's not going right, tries, can almost over try, and honestly, then it goes worse, right? And so, I would say, probably two things that I think he's we'll chat with him about is one is he's always going to be a guy who wants to make a play and just balance and when to make a play and when to live another day. Those are conversations we've had. And, and I think there's times he's done a really good job. You can't be a guy who makes plays and never make a mistake. You're going to turn some pucks over. But you got to have that balance. And two, just making sure that he's not trying to get going so fast that he's not getting pucks in the right spots and almost skating himself outside of the pocket of when to get a puck. So those are things that we'll look at with him.
I mean, what Jeff Blashill is describing is exactly what me, what you, what Greg, what Chloe, what everyone in the chat who joins us on every postgame show has been seeing from Andre Burakovsky. Mm-hmm. It is puck mismanagement, leaving the zone too quickly, and look, if what Blashill says is true, and look, if he's seeing what we're seeing, he's not trying to deny or anything or say it's not happening. I'll take him at his word. It says that Burakovsky is just trying to make things happen.
Yeah,
and then he's a guy that gets frustrated when things are not going well and maybe tries to do too much. So, a demotion to third line, we'll see what impact it has on him, because I am struggling to recall a time this season where he's been on the bottom six.
He hasn't.
I don't think it's happened at all.
No. When he first, earlier this season, he was like immediately into the top six, and then for a long time has been paired with Connor Bedard. When Bedard's been healthy, and then even still, like when Bedard was out, he was still in that top line, top six spot. So, no, I mean this will be something new with him with this Blackhawks group, and I think it's a good mix to have him with Moore and Green, and I think that's a good, as we talk about like combinations of players. I think that's a good combination of player because Green's a versatile guy, can play different styles. This is a trio where I feel like he can kind of be more of the I want to say two-way kind of player, a little bit more responsible player. Burakovsky can go be a little bit more offensively creative. And Oliver Moore down the middle is a threat at both ends of the ice with his speed. He can hunt pucks. He can get the puck to guys like Green and Burakovsky to kind of make things happen. So I think it's a good mix.
I'll tell you,
and hopefully it brings a little bit more out of Burakovsky than he's had before.
That trio looked good on line rushes at practice today. Like they were moving the puck well together. Burakovsky was more in like the trailer kind of a role where Moore would do the work behind the net. Sometimes it was Green, and they would try to get it to Burakovsky in the slot, and you could see the thought process there that Jeff Blashill has in mind. And he did mention wanting to get Oliver Moore back at center, but Ryan Green is your most effective faceoff guy, and also talked about like, when you're not lined up at center, it is hard to jump into that center role. So it's going to be interesting to see how the center duties are split between Green and Moore. But I think it was time to give Burakovsky a bit of a breather, fewer minutes, less responsibility, let him find his game again.
Yeah.
And get it back. Meanwhile, you get Teuvo back to allow for Nazar and Bedard to play together, which I think is exciting for a lot of people. So we're going to hit the break zone again.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Oliver Moore this season at the faceoff dot, 51%. 77 wins, 74 losses. So
that's fine.
If he wants to play center, seems like he can win some faceoffs.
Sounds great to me. All right, back in 2 minutes. Hit that like button for us. We only have 55. We need more than that. You can do that. Hit it. We'll talk to you in 2 minutes. It's 2026, new year, big goals, but with a busier schedule means less time to cook. Factor makes it easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs so you can eat well without the shopping or the cooking. It's got quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats with no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. Factor is always fresh. It's never frozen. And the best part, you're going to get a healthy, nutritious meal that tastes great in just about 2 minutes. You just throw it in the microwave. It is good to go. No prep, no stress. Every Factor meal I've had has been excellent. You will love it. Head to factormeals.com/CHGO50 off. Use our code CHGO50 off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthy eating easier with Factor.
As a man, are you starting to feel that you have low energy throughout the day? Do you not have the same motivation and drive, and you might be seeing the scale move up and your hair fall out? Are your muscles tightening up when they shouldn't? Well, if you have any of those things, it could be on account of low testosterone. It's very common as you age and something to be mindful of. And whether it's peak performance or becoming a better father, a better husband, or a better man, Game Day Men's Health wants to support every man's health journey through personalized care tailored to your goals. It's a very quick and easy process. You can be in and out of their clinics in about an hour, and those clinics are locally and family owned. I'm using Game Day Men's Health for their hair loss treatment program. And if you don't trust this head of hair, which you can't see because I'm wearing a hat, take it from their customer, Josh, who lost over 100 pounds in just about a year using their testosterone replacement therapy. Start your best life with Game Day Men's Health. Check out their local locations, which you can scan the QR code to find them nearest to you, and go to GameDayCHGO.com to find the clinic nearest to you.
All right, we're back. During the break, Mario found some interesting Andre Burakovsky stats that are probably worth sharing.
Yeah, just kind of looking at, the split so far through the season. October and November, in 20 games, he had 17 points, and he was shooting about 25%. In December and January so far, he's played 26 games, has 13 points, and is shooting roughly 7%. So
somewhere in the middle is
who Andre Burakovsky really is. And yeah, I mean, like I said, like he's still third on the team in scoring. Like he's still a guy that, when he's feeling his best, is going to be a top 6 guy on this team. So the work of Jeff Blashill now is to find out, okay, how do I put him in a situation, much like we talked about with Nick Lardis and trying to put him in a situation to thrive, and these young guys, you got to do it with the veterans as well. You can't just say, oh, a veteran, they got to figure it out. They've been here. They've been in the NHL longer. Like, those guys still need work with the coaches and work off of their line mates to find their best versions of themselves, because it's hard to go through 82 games and be, your best version night in, night out. Like, it's even the best players have off nights. So for Burakovsky, it's just like he's kind of going through a stretch where he just kind of needs to get back to the game that made him more effective. And if it's new line mates, if it's different responsibilities, you got to try it.
Yeah, I'll say this. Figure it out is not a coaching style for this team, for this coaching staff.
No.
I was talking to someone today at practice who is very close to some of the players, I guess, for I don't know. I can't reveal the source, but you know who I'm talking about.
Sure.
And, you could probably do some math and figure out who I'm referring to, but I had a conversation with someone who just said how this coaching staff is very hands-on, and the players appreciate it. They want to be coached. They want to be given feedback. They don't want to be left to figure it out on their own. All these guys, whether they're your favorite player on the team or your least favorite player on the team, they all want to win. They all want to improve. They all want to play better. So there is active coaching happening on this team all the time. We talked about it last week with Artem Leshinov working with Brian Keane, the skills coach, on shooting mechanics, making a shot more deceptive. These are the little things that you're not going to work out just playing 20 minutes a night. You're not going to get a more deceptive shot playing 20 minutes a night.
Right.
But if you're taking time before practice to work on things. And I got there today. I walked in the building at like 10. Practice was 11. I think I got in there like 10:35 or so.
Nice.
Both sheets of ice had groups of Hawks with different skills coaches working on different stuff.
Good.
Almost the entire team was on the ice.
Who wasn't there?
Who's
not dedicated?
Who didn't
Jay?
care?
Who doesn't care about this team?
Exactly. Yeah, but it was just everyone's out there before the official practice begins, getting individual work done with different coaches. So there is. All these guys are given, you need to work on this. You're with this coach today. Or sometimes it's the players do it themselves saying, hey, Brian Keane is really their skating guru. Hey, you know what? I feel like my edge work hasn't been great lately, or I just don't feel like I'm as explosive as I was when the season began. How can I fix that? Or they can go to Chris Kunitz and say, hey, how do you deal with the grind of a season? You played a really long time on really good teams, long playoff runs. Like the Hawks have developed the staff, and it's not just Sorensen and Pekka and Vellucci and Blashill. It's all these other assistants that are there helping out on the ice. And behind the scenes, there's Brian Campbell. Like, there's so many resources for these players. And I feel like they're all getting, this year specifically, based on this conversation I had, very, very specific and helpful coaching across the board.
Good.
So, and Burakovsky is no exception. So I think they're going to take this opportunity for him and figure out, here's what we need to work on. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to put you in a little bit of a different role here.
Yeah.
Where maybe playing with Green and with Moore makes him feel like he's got to be more of a puck carrier, more of a attacker, someone who's more responsible for the offense. And I know that might sound counterproductive, but I do think there's a little bit of pressure on that top line to get it to Connor. Get the puck to Connor all the time, which not a bad strategy, pretty good player. But I think maybe just putting him in a place where there's not as much spotlight on that line, let him be an offensive focus on a line that's not going to get the defensive matchups they're going to draw every night like Bedard does every night.
Yeah, I mean that's a big point of it too. Is if you want a guy to maybe find his game a little bit more, if you take him away from Bedard, it can open up, matchups wise, it can open some of that up. And yeah, I think, his tendency in his game is to be a guy that controls the puck. And if you have Green and Moore being those guys rather than Bedard and, Green, he's played with Ryan Green a lot.
Yeah.
So that you right there, you're not trying to, figure out chemistry with a guy that you've never played with before. But I think not having the Bedard option to kind of default to and be like, okay, I have the puck, but eventually it's got to get to Connor. Like it can maybe open up your thinking a little bit more offensively with, okay, maybe instead of making a pass that I would if Connor was on the ice, maybe I'm the one that carries it a little bit longer. Or, even though Connor's gotten faster than he was last year, I think Oliver Moore's probably a little bit straight line speed faster.
Yeah, I would say
so. Maybe it's an opportunity to kind of play off of that a little bit. Maybe he can make an area pass that he wouldn't make with Connor, but he could make with Oliver, knowing that Oliver is going to win the race.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of changes up how you might play with the puck, and that could open some things up for Burakovsky.
One thing too that stood out today from Blashill is he mentioned that, I've been changing lines a little too much lately. I got to stick with something here and let it grow and let it marinate. So I think we're gonna see Bedard and Nazar together for a while here,
at least for a few games.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how it's going to go because Connor spoke today. All the locker room availability has been posted to our YouTube. So when you're done here, check it out. But Connor talked about not in this cut, Chloe, but he talked about I know my offense hasn't been there. I got to be more consistent. I got to provide offense, but I feel good. I just got to kind of get back in that rhythm. Like he acknowledged that the team needs more from him offensively. So he sees it, and maybe playing with Frank, who's going to draw some checkers, going to draw some attention, can get some offense going for him. And I think vice versa too. I think Nazar would like to start producing a little more as well.
Sure. I mean, all these guys know the style that they want to play and the role that they can play. So when they're not doing it, it eats at them. So we know Connor can be a point-and-a-half per game guy that he was earlier this year. It's just getting back to that style. We've seen Frank be a guy who plays with speed and confidence and down the middle, and getting him back to that would be awesome. So all these guys have that drive to be their best version of themselves. So it's what you want to see. You want to see some frustration of their belief that they can do better. It's something that they gotta work towards.
We do have Connor talking about playing with Teuvo and Frank. Here's what he had to say after practice.
You haven't played with Frank a lot this year. What does he? I guess he bring to the table. Where maybe you guys complement each other now?
Yeah, he's obviously a great player. I think everyone knows that, and has so much speed and makes so many plays. Him and Turbo. So two guys. I played with Turbo 10 games last year, and then I kind of never did again. So looking forward to that. And obviously playing with Frank. It's also played with him a little bit last year, but I'm looking forward to that line and stuff. But I've played with great players all year, so it's just kind of adapting to whoever I'm with.
I noticed you said it just when he was talking. I noticed it too. Or said, "Yeah, I played with Teuvo for 10 games and I never played with him again."
There was
something there.
There was something said there that wasn't
actually
said there.
Yeah.
That was something that last season, a lot of people were confused, like why you weren't playing Teuvo with Bedard. And now we'll get an opportunity to see it. Again, it's a different coaching staff now, so maybe they'll try it, see some results. Maybe it sticks, maybe it doesn't. But I think just going to get to that pairing, I think is good. Again, it's thinking about how you're matching up these players together, play style. Teuvo is a guy that is pass first, almost to a
second, third,
almost to a
fourth.
detriment sometimes, but he's definitely a guy that's going to want to distribute the puck, and Nazar and Bedard are both guys that want to have the puck and can be scoring threats. Obviously, Connor can. We know Frank has that ability as well, so it'll be interesting to see who's going to be the one to go and hunt the puck. I think Nazar can be that guy, but I wonder if mentally the injury and playing with the face shield and all that kind of changes a little bit.
Yeah,
we know Bedard's probably still nursing a little bit of that shoulder injury. So that line, when they have the puck, will be very fun to watch. When they don't, it's going to be interesting to see how they work without
Well,
it.
and an interesting note, too, from Blashill today said that they don't expect Bedard to take faceoffs until after the Olympics. So
yeah.
So clearly the shoulder is not 100%.
Right.
I think that is a factor. Right? You see a lot of guys come back from their first injury and play a little bit hesitant.
Especially if it's something where, your face is broken.
Well, yeah, I'm sure every time Frank shoots or gets hit, he's feeling that. They talked about they wouldn't let Frank shoot for a while because your instinct when you shoot the puck is to grit your teeth.
Clench, yeah.
And he can't do that. But it doesn't mean when he's bracing for a hit that he's not. And he's taken some, since he's come back, there's been some spills that he has taken.
Last game he took a heavy one into the boards, I remember, and just being like, "Ooh, are you okay?"
He is taking some awkward hits.
Yeah. And that's something that young guys, they eventually learn the timing and space of the NHL, but it's not an overnight thing, and learning how to absorb contact, avoid it without being like, "Oh, I don't want to be hit," but just to be able to be smart about it. Like Patrick Kane was really good about, aside from that one time, was really good about not taking those big hits and not putting himself in those kinds of spots. But that's something that'll, those guys will grow over time.
All right, we're going to hit the break zone one final time, come back with some of your mailbag questions. We had a lot more planned, but the day became very, very newsy, sort of unexpectedly. So stick around, hit that like button. Let's get over 100 likes before we're out of here. We'll talk to you in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. Is there anything better than getting back to the roots of hockey, the nostalgia of the outdoor game away from the indoor rinks? It's time for the 4th annual Sand County Classic at Sand Valley, happening this week, January 30th through February 1st, up in Sand Valley in Wisconsin. 4-on-4 round-robin play, multiple outdoor rinks, great settings with snow-capped dunes and red pines, divisions for 21+, 30+, and 40+ with advanced and beginner tiers. You're going to get food and drinks, great hospitality, swag bags, shuttle service, and how about their lodging packages, which include cottages, literally steps from the ice. This is an absolutely breathtaking setting at Sand Valley. So get your team registered now. The tournament starts on the 30th. SandValley.com for the 4th annual Sand County Classic at Sand Valley. Get your outdoor team together. Again, register now at SandValley.com.
You think they're selling spectator tickets for the Sand
hope so.
County Classic? They might. And if you want to get one, if they do require it, they might be available on the Game Time app.
Ooh.
The Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It is the app with the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and Game Time guarantees that you are going to get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the right price, and their fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. So if you've never been to an arena or a music hall or whatever it is that you want to go see an event, you can see the view from your seat right there, and the Game Time guarantee means that they're going to get the lowest price, and if you find the same ticket on a different website for a lower price, Game Time will match it. That's how much they care about you getting the right deal through them. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets or any other tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today.
All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks, and before we get to mailbag, a comment from Lou Bagel in the chat says, at this point, I'd like Bedard to play with young guys that he could potentially play with for the next 10 years and build that chemistry as opposed to vets that could be gone in a few years. Well, Frank Nazar is a start.
Yeah.
And Anton Frundell will be here before the season's over.
Yes. He's played
There's
with
two
Ryan
options.
Green a lot.
Yeah.
Now that more of those players are here, there's more opportunity for that to happen. Those guys just weren't here before. So, yeah, now is a good time to see what chemistry can be built. So that's true.
I also
Is that,
enjoy Lou Bagel's vibe and avatar. Very cool.
Is that avatar? It's something where is that a chicken nugget wearing sunglasses?
I believe it's a bagel.
Oh, it's a bagel. Oh, okay. Well, of course, that would make a lot of sense.
Lou Bagel, artist, Mambo number 5.
I was gonna say, yeah, I enjoyed your
Chloe,
one-hit
Mambo
wonder.
number 5. You familiar? She's not. She's giving me a blank stare.
When you sing it, yes.
1, 2.
That's the
3,
thing
4,
is these
5,
days I don't know the
da-da-da-da-da-da,
names
so
of
come
things,
on,
but I
let's
know
go.
the sound.
Okay.
You
That
know?
was good.
Are we gonna get copyright strict now?
Can't monetize
sorry.
video. Damn it.
Sorry.
All right. Tear open the sack of
No
mail.
bag.
All right. D. Schnell writes us on Discord. Says, I think it's pretty clear that Connor will be the next captain of the Blackhawks. Who do you see as the future alternates with Murphy and Dickinson likely being gone soon? Vlasic feels like a shoe-in. I think Vlasic, I'm going to say something crazy. I think Vlasic could be the captain.
He could be.
I think Vlasic could be the captain.
He could
I'm not.
be.
I
don't
think
see
it's
it,
going to
but
be
it
Connor,
could be.
but I don't think it's a 0% chance that Alex Vlasic wears a C.
Yeah, I agree that could be a possibility. He could be a guy that I think could be that leader in the locker room. But like the Dynasty Blackhawks of old, you could have put the C on a couple of different guys in that group. It just happened to be Jonathan Toews at a very early age. I still think Connor's probably going to be that guy. Vlasic has already worn an A before, so he's been looked at as part of that leadership group already once.
Connor did when Big J Dick was out.
Connor did as well. So I mean,
What's his name?
once Jason Dickinson and Connor Murphy are moved this season, I wouldn't be shocked if Nick Foligno is still on this team beyond the trade deadline, which I still think is the case.
I think so too.
I think it'll be probably Vlasic and Bedard wearing the A's from there, and then that kind of sets up next season's leadership group being like, it's being passed over to the young guys. And yeah, I would think Bedard is probably going to be named captain. I would think Vlasic would be an alternate. I would think Frank would be an alternate. Frank Nazar. I could also see, trying to think who else would be around. Donato's going to be around. Teuvo is still around next year.
Throw in on Bertuzzi. He's got 2
Bertuzzi's still
years
around
left.
next year. So you probably don't give it all to the kids.
Well,
but
Ryan Ellis.
Shea Weber. Yeah, so I think Vlasic.
How about Kaiser?
Maybe, yeah.
I'd be down with that.
My front runners would be Vlasic and Nazar, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were like they do the rotating thing and also give like Teuvo and Bertuzzi some nods as well.
Are people you really, not to be a big J dick about it, but if you think that Alex Vlasic wearing a captaincy or a letter is far-fetched, you have no clue how the Hawks locker room works.
Who said that?
There's several comments saying it was a
no.
dumb
I
thing.
mean, I don't think it's far-fetched at all. He's
clearly one of the leaders of the team.
He's a guy he's the most veteran young player that is in that locker room. And he was here when Kane and Taze were still on the team.
And he sits opposite side of the room of Nick Foligno, which means something. He sits in the middle. He is
most
always
of the defensemen are on
always available,
side,
always chatting, always answering questions, always.
He talks last year about kind of befriending Alec Martinez and being able to be friends with a guy who's 38 years old. And he's also kind of that one of those guys, or maybe the guy that kind of ties the young group together too, talking about playing Fortnite and all that stuff. Like he seems to be the guy that's that mixture of I've been around some old players before and I can connect with them while also being the oldest of the kids,
right?
Kind of thing.
Yes.
Very, very older brother vibes from Vlasic in the room. So yeah, right. I'm not. I would not be shocked if. I'd be a little shocked if they made him captain, but I don't think it's the craziest idea out there.
All right, let's go to the next mailbag. This from Sean Weber, son of Blackhawks legend Shea. I can only assume.
Spelled the same.
I know the consensus is he wouldn't want to be traded at the deadline, but is there any indication that Foligno would like to play with his brother to end his career?
It's not a crazy idea. I mean, Minnesota is a team that's going to be in the playoff picture. That could be a fun story. I have
Hawks trade for Marcus.
Just flip the brothers.
I like Marcus Foligno.
30. He's younger. 34,
and he's got more hair.
He does have more hair.
A
Yeah.
lot more. He's 34. Yeah.
34. Yeah. I that would be interesting.
That will not happen to the Hawks.
I just don't know. I'm talking about Foligno going to Minnesota. Yeah. Nick. I still don't get the sense that that's his plan.
No, I think he's playing here.
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, it's the temptation of putting a cup on your resume and in what might be your last year is got to be out there for a guy like him. So I know he has his family here in Chicago. He's really embraced the city and the role that he's played, and doesn't take being captain of the Blackhawks lightly, and has really, been that hockey dad, older brother in the locker room with this young group, and really took to heart the leadership role that he was asked to do. So I don't know. I don't know if he would then see all that, go through all that, and then be like, oh, by the way, I'm leaving. Like, I don't know.
I don't think, I'll say this. Bill Guerin doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's in it for the fuzzy stories.
No.
I think Bill Guerin's trying to win a Stanley Cup. And I'm not saying that Nick Foligno couldn't help them win a cup, but the Hawks would have to retain, which is fine. Keep in mind, the Wild have 4 forwards making under $1 million because they have to. They are right up against the cap. They've got, today, $2.64 million in cap space.
That's enough for one Nick Foligno.
Yeah, I mean, if Minnesota's adding, they already have Nick Foligno. They have Marcus Foligno. They have a younger, better, zestier. He's better right now. Zestier. I think Nick had a better full career, but today Marcus is better than Nick.
I'm gonna tell Nick you said Marcus was zestier.
He already yelled at me this morning.
Yeah,
leave Connor alone.
Yeah, I mean it. It would be a fun storyline, but you're right. Guerin's not a guy that's making moves for storylines. But if you wanted to do Nick Foligno for Matt Boldy 1-for-1, I'm open to it. I'm open to
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
That'd be great. Or Kaprizov. They're tired of him.
Sure.
They got to clear cap space. I mean,
they sure do.
They got to make room for Nick Foligno. So, yeah, Kaprizov. Plenty of room. All right, let's try to get 2 more in before we wrap up.
I think we have at least 2 more.
Oh Lord. Okay, this is from I
Edward.
can't see the name.
This is from Edward. I remember this question.
Edward.
Because it's directed at me. Said last week during your trade candidates podcast, the mini pod, you mentioned that at the very end you wouldn't rule out Kevin Korchinski being included as a sweetener. I know you fellas are plugged in, so I'm confident this isn't merely based on personal bias. Why would you move a 21-year-old former first-round pick for pennies on the dollar? What's the rush? Surely at this stage, his trade value is incredibly low. Getting impatient with young defensemen is foolish, not as though our prospect pool is brimming with defensemen. So the question was posed, is there anyone that would surprise you that would be moved? And, right? That's what you asked, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I offered up Kevin Korchinski just because he had been in discussions and conversations, and sometimes teams circle back. You know, if let's say, completely hypothetical example, Kyle Davidson was talking with, I don't know, San Jose, right? Just for an example. They're pushing, and they don't really have young depth defensemen.
Excuse me, they have Nolan Allen.
That's right. See how quickly I
Your
forget
point,
things?
it's fine. Your point point remains.
There's
I'm
30
being
other
silly.
teams I could have named. Ottawa. Kyle Davis is talking with Ottawa.
There you go.
For whatever reason. Earlier this year, and Kevin Korchinski's name comes up. Then they don't do anything, falls through, whatever. There's nothing to say, like, Ottawa couldn't come back around and be like, hey, remember we talked about Korchinski? Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just think that once a player is kind of you know, out there and like some names, some conversations, it doesn't completely, once the talk dies down, ends things. So
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin Korchinski is being
No,
traded.
nor
I don't
are you
want him to be
advocating.
traded.
Yeah, you're not advocating
But
for it
I it would surprise me if at the deadline, outside of these guys that we're talking about, Dickinson, Murphy, so on and so forth, if it's just like, if out of the left field, it's just like, oh, Blackhawks have traded Korchinski. And it's like, if you're moving a young defenseman like that, with that potential and that caliber, it's likely that you're getting someone else back of that same potential caliber and
or higher
and opportunity, or potentially
right,
higher.
because you're saying, I don't know, let's say Dallas really wants Jason Dickinson back, and they don't think they can sign Jason Robertson. So it's like Dickinson, Korchinski, several firsts. You know, like, it would be part. Like, I think if you are moving Kevin Korchinski, it is to get a major piece back that you think is going to be here for the foreseeable future and is immediately ready to help.
Who you try and have fewer questions about.
Because I wasn't sure how they were thinking about Korchinski until they moved Nolan Allen. When they moved Nolan Allen, I said, okay, I think they still fully believe that Kevin Korchinski is an NHL defenseman and will be soon, however you want to define soon, next year, 2 years from now, whatever it might be. The fact that Allen was moved and they don't have a ton of NHL prospect defensemen now, aside from Del Mastro and Korchinski, tells me that they believe in both those guys pretty fully still.
Right, yeah.
So,
and if you move Murphy and maybe Grzelcyk, that's 2 defensive spots open, and you throw Renzel into the conversation as well, like those guys will...
How quickly we've forgotten about Sam Renzel.
Well,
It's crazy.
He's figuring it out. It's
No, I'm
no...
It's
reason
funny
to
though. We
panic,
just like
but yeah.
it's like a name that we're like, oh yeah, I don't think we've talked much about him coming back this year yet.
Not a whole lot.
No.
But
All right, we're going to go to overtime before we get to the next mailbag question. So if you're watching us on any of the lovely fast channels, make sure you switch on over to allchgo.com to continue the conversation.
Speaking of Kevin Korchinski,
Traded?
Two-time AHL All-Star. In about 2 weeks, he'll participate in his second AHL All-Star Classic, which will be in Rockford, and you will see us there as well. I know a couple people have asked about the AHL All-Star game. Nick Lardis is also an AHL All-Star, asking if we're going to be there. Yes, we will be in Rockford doing some stuff.
Yeah, we don't know exactly yet, but at very least eating beefaroo.
We will be there. We will be full of beefaroo, and we'll be providing some content, maybe doing some shows. We'll do some interviews. We'll see what we get done, but we will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you're out there as well, say hi, take pictures with us, not of us. Yeah, it would be a fun time.
Forgot about that. So we went to Rockford, Chloe. A couple of years ago, we went to Rockford, and a lady noticed Mario. It was like, my daughter's a really big fan. Can I take your picture? So Mario went to take a picture with her, and she goes, no, I just want to take a picture of you.
Yeah.
So she took a picture of Mario standing by himself.
It's me just standing there, hands in my
You're
pockets.
like Ricky Bobby.
Hi.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
And she took the picture, and then that was it. And she was just like, thanks, and just walked away. I was like, okay. And then, full circle moment. So that was, 2 years ago, I think it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Then last year, I'm walking through the atrium at a Hawks game to go to sometimes I just stretch my legs and walk around, get the vibe of the atrium, go to the team store and look at all the stuff. And this couple stops me, and the girl says, you're Mario from the CHGO Blackhawks. I was like, yeah. She's like, my mom took a picture of you in Rockford. That was my mom. And I was like, oh my God. So we had a good laugh.
I'll
over
never
that.
forget that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was funny. No, they didn't. No.
You
She
should
already
take
had
a picture of the
She
daughter.
already had the picture of me. So
Was it her
Yeah.
screensaver? Did it say?
I don't know.
Did it
I
say
didn't ask.
Blackhawks over everything with a picture of you?
I didn't ask.
Tell her if
Should've
she
been.
wants it, she can send it to me, and I'll make it for
that
her.
would be great.
Make a screensaver.
So if you see us, say hi.
Take a picture with us.
Take a picture with us.
Not
people
of
will
us.
people will do that at Hawks games. We'll get the very grainy,
Yeah.
5 times zoomed in photos of us sitting up in the press box. Be like, oh, I see you guys. He's like, you can come over and
You
say
can come
hi.
say
It's
hi.
okay.
If you're there early enough, there's plenty of room. Otherwise,
I
that
get
Murphy
it.
guy
Some
will
people like
beat you up.
to view from afar, but we're not scary people.
No, we're not scary. Chloe also seemed somewhat interested when you said Beefaroo. You don't know what that is.
I don't know what that
Beefaroo
is.
Isn't
is
that Beefaroo
Rockford's
in
famous.
Colorado?
Yeah, it's Rockford's famous
How could they
mid
not?
burger shop.
It
is
like
like-
Shake Shack.
Yes.
It's kind of like that, but it's not Shake Shack, and it's in Rockford.
It's like Shake Shack, but not nearly as good.
Yeah.
It's better.
So that's like the AHL
Beefaroo?
thing in Rockford.
So much better. Beefaroo, I
Yeah.
think, is
Amazing.
Beefaroo
It's fine.
has got to be the best burger in Rockford. If the best Mexican food in Rockford is Taco Bell,
Accurate.
Hey, I love Taco Bell,
so
I don't believe that that's true either. That Taco Bell is the best Mexican restaurant
Yes,
in Rockford.
It was voted.
I saw that, but
It was voted in Rockford as the best Mexican restaurant. This is years ago, but it was a thing.
I don't know.
You guys have Buc-ee's here, right?
Buc-ee's?
We are not at Buc-ee's.
No.
That was like when we would always go up to see the Eagles, then we would always have to stop at Buc-ee's. And that was like
Yeah.
the only one in Colorado
Yeah,
that
I
was
have been to
closest enough.
Buc-ee's.
I've
It's like a
never-
Bed Bath and
amazing.
Beyond threw up in a Cabela's that threw up in a gas station.
It's a giant gas station.
Yeah.
And it
With-
has
But
everything
it's got like
that you
fresh.
could ever imagine.
Does it have like fresh barbecue?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
fresh.
Or in-house
fresh.
barbecue?
They're like under the heat lamp barbecue
Yeah.
sandwiches, but
Chicken
they're good.
tenders,
Higher or
burgers.
lower than the McRib?
Oh, higher.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely.
not bad.
And
Yeah,
what is it? Bucky Nuts or Bucky Nuggets or whatever it is.
Excuse you?
Some kind of there's some kind of famous nuts they have there. I don't know. I've only been
Buc-ee's
once.
nuts?
Buc-
Is that what-
Yeah, Bucky's is great, but we don't have one yet. I actually got excited. Where was I driving home from? We were driving home from Notre Dame. We went to the hockey game.
Yeah.
And it said Bucky's 379 miles away. I'm like, what? This is not helpful at all.
So close.
All right, let's get to one more mailbag question before we let's do a fun one.
Can we do both
We're,
of them?
We're at fun slappy time. All right,
All right.
ready?
You want to do this? You want to end with the fun one? Okay.
All right. So is this one we're doing?
Oh, this one's more fun?
All right.
Okay.
Brett-
Okay. Brett says,
Yes. Are the Blackhawks headed towards an offensive-minded team or a defensive-minded team with all the new talent on the horizon, veterans on the trade block, and some fresh faces to make debuts? Where do you think we go? And personally, what would you like to see for a new organization based on your insight to Hawks hockey? I think they're Beaver Nuggets. Thank you. I knew it had some kind of racy name to it.
I like Bucky's Nuts better.
Beaver Nuggets is better. Are they going to be more offensive or defensive minded?
I think they're
Probably-
going to be predicated on speed which I think the fun side of that is an offensive-minded team. And you get some guys that, like an Oliver Moore, you see the speed that he plays with, and it makes you flash for the offense, but the speed defensively that he can play with comes into factor when you are transitioning defense to offense. And I think that's the biggest thing that they want defensively as a team to focus on. Some teams, I think they when they say like, oh, we want to be a defensive team, it's that they want to contain pressure. They want to protect their net. They want to play more like, okay, we're gonna move you out of the way, be physical, stop plays, and in our own end be responsible. That's one way to play defense, and that works sometimes. I think what the Hawks and what Kyle Davidson is trying to do defensively with the speed mentality is we want to very quickly turn our defensive chances into offensive chances. So when you have a Artem Levshinov, when you have a Sam Renzel, those guys can play Kevin Korchinski. Those guys in their defensive zone, when they can get possession of the puck, they can quickly turn it into offense because of not only their foot speed, but also the way that they handle the puck and distribute things. Vlasic is a guy that I think is pretty good in transition. Louis Crevier, we have found, is a guy that I think is good with his feet for how big he is playing in transition. So I think that's how they want to play with speed, is to defensively have the mentality of very quickly change defense into offense going the other direction.
Well, I think if you were to think about the Dynasty Blackhawks, right, and you were to ask 100 hockey fans, like, what made them great, they're going to say, well, they had Kane, and they had Taves, and they had Sharp, and they had Hossa, and they were just so stacked up top. Everything the Hawks had back in that era was started from the blue line up. It was Keith, it was Seabrook, it was Oduya, it was Hjalmarsson. And look, like, even though like Keith and Seabrook, they had offensive defenseman type numbers, Nicholas Hjalmarsson was never a big point scorer, but he was great at moving the puck from D zone to O zone on the tape in a snap very quickly. So it's that transition game. So I don't think I think it's both. I think, and this is what Jeff Blashill has been talking about, is that you're going to create offense from your defense, because the more you have the puck, the more you're going to have an opportunity to score. And that all starts in the defensive zone. And you've got these guys who you mentioned that can get the puck and move it quickly. I think Wyatt Kaiser's another one that can do that. They've got a lot of guys that are puck-moving young defensemen that can still defend. And when you wonder why was Artem Levshinov the pick? That's why. And whether he turns out to be who Kyle Davidson thinks he's going to be or not remains to be seen. But the skill set of Artem Levshinov is exactly what the Hawks want their defense to be. Big, physical, but also can carry the puck on their own or move it accurately out of the zone quickly. Like, that's what they're looking for. So I think it is, I guess, for lack of a better word, a hybrid. But I think most good teams in hockey are that.
Right, yeah. No, there's very few teams in the modern age that are successful being one way or the other. You got to have a mixture of both.
Well, I saw somebody mentioned it was Michael Evans, I think, said the Oilers. No, it was Chuck Fee said the Oilers are not at all defensive minded, and they made it to the finals the last 2 years. I wouldn't say they're not at all defensive minded. No, their team is obviously built of their supreme offensive weapons.
Right.
But they've still got really, really good defensemen that move the puck well. Look at their decor. Evan Bouchard is having an insane year. Continues to. Darnell Nurse is the Seth Jones of Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean they
Ekholm, Wallman, like they've got some guys that
having
can play.
Ekholm. Also, like, I know Draisaitl and McDavid are big offensive weapons, but again, like, the speed and the ability to be smart defensively. Like, those guys aren't just pure offense and defensive liabilities. Like, their skill sets are impacts at both ends of the ice. For the Oilers, though, it's the perception of offense outweighs what you see defensively. When I think of, like, a team that was really successful being defensively minded, I think of the mid-2000s Devils, because they were so nauseatingly unfun to watch.
Yes.
Because they because of how they structured their team and how they structured their play to focus defensively. And then you had also Martin Brodeur in his prime. And then offensively, you just did enough to get by where you could win 2-1 games all the time. But it just it's just a fluctuation. So I think if you look at the Panthers, the team that beat the Oilers the last 2 years, they could do it at both ends.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to be able to do.
All right, let's do one more before we wrap up. Is this the fun one, Chloe? All right, from Warren Bedards. Says there's probably going to be a bunch of trade questions for the mailbag, so I will instead ask a fun one. What's the best sandwich to get from JP Graziano? I'll be close by there in March, and I've always heard Jay say it's the best place to get a sandwich in the city. I agree with that. That is on Randolph and Peoria. JP Graziano is awesome. The go-to sandwich at JP Graziano is the Mr. G. That is their famous sandwich.
I have it pulled up here.
I do not typically get that because I don't like artichokes. And there are artichokes on it.
You could get it without artichokes.
Yeah, but I feel like that kind of makes the whole thing, right? That's kind of how I've understood it.
Provolone, sopressata, prosciutto, salami, JP Graziano's truffle mustard balsamic vinaigrette, hot oil, marinated Roman-style artichokes, basil, lettuce, and a red wine vinegar and oregano.
That is
sounds
their
amazing.
That's their flagship sandwich.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I always get the Italian. And depending on my
Also
level
sounds
of
really good.
acid reflux of the day, I either get the hot giardiniera or the mild giardiniera, but you got to get the giardiniera. But everything there is great. They've
Yeah.
also got soup. They've got focaccia. Get yourself a cannoli when you go there. It's an awesome place. It can be intimidating, by the way, if you've never been before, because you basically walk in and it's kind of chaotic because everyone's there. So you walk in, and on your right-hand side, there's a bunch of dudes making sandwiches. Just stop there. Tell them what you want, and then you get in line and go pay at the window, and then they'll get your sandwich to you. So make sure you're not a noob when you go in there and you know what to do. But you can't go wrong. Every sandwich there is fantastic.
Yeah, every sandwich here on the menu sounds amazing.
And the other day I got one shortly. I had like a late breakfast, early lunch, so I only ate half of it, and then I had the second half 2 days later. 2 days later was almost even better because all the like juice absorbs, like the. Oh man, it was so good. So yeah, go for it. If you like cold, Italian subs and stuff like that, it's
being able to
amazing.
Miss being able to have Graziano's.
What?
I said I miss being able to have JP Graziano's.
Can you just do like an unwich? Maybe they'll make you an unwich there.
That's the point.
I know. That sucks. It's so bad. I'm sorry. I told you, man, if I had to go gluten-free, I'd just be like, well, it's been a good run, and just walk into the lake. I cannot live without gluten.
It's pretty cold.
I'm sorry you have to do that.
It's fine. I mean, there's so many options now. I was just having this conversation the other night. It's just there's so many options. There's so many alternatives that you wouldn't even notice the difference. You were having gluten-free Oreos, and you were like, I can't even taste the difference. It's a lot easier than I think a lot of people think. But I do miss the ease of just ordering whatever I want and not having to be like, are these chicken wings breaded?
Yeah,
or are they just baked? That's how it doesn't do. I don't do myself any favors because that's how I ask it. But in my head, that's how I sound to these
make
people.
that noise?
I have a gluten sensitivity. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to be back tomorrow. Hawks at Wild, 6:30 pregame. I will not be here for the pregame. Breaking news, I've not told this socially, explicitly to anyone yet. I'm actually going to be back at the Score tomorrow producing the Terry Boers tribute show. So I'll be back in time for the puck drop, but I will not be back in time for the pregame show. So noon to 7 tomorrow on the Score is the Terry Boers celebration of life, and they asked me to come and put on my producing hat.
Nice.
So see if I remember how to do that.
Are you going to be running the board and all that stuff?
No.
Oh.
Chris Tannehill will be running the board. So how are you? Are you doing solo? Is Chloe doing pregame? How are we doing it?
We will be here and we will talk about the Blackhawks. We'll
Sounds
figure
good.
it out on the fly, just like we usually do. No, it'll be fine. We can. I'm sure Seth Jones won't be traded again. So
something's definitely happening.
It'll be.
I've never been more confident in anything.
It'll be totally fine.
A massive trade will happen tomorrow since I won't be here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, we'll get you ready for Blackhawks and Wild, the Foligno Bowl again.
Yes, the Foligno Bowl. All right, we'll talk to you then. See ya at 6:30 pregame, and then as soon as the game ends, tomorrow night on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.